this video, we're going to take a look at all the new features in Link Details version 2.0 from Parallax Team. Version 2.0 brings a lot of changes with it, along with Revit 2023 support. So let's take a look at them now. To get started, I am in Revit 2023 at this time and a blank file. You are able to link details into any file that you're working in, but a blank file is a little bit easier for the purposes of this demo. If we navigate to our Parallax Team tab, we have our typical linked details panel with the Load Link Details button and the Update Details button. We no longer have the additional command for sheets called IMDetailFile, and that's because a new feature in Link Details is the ability to load and link sheets. That is a new feature that we're really excited about, and it is now included in the tool. If we navigate to Load Link Details, the same typical dialog that we had before, we can pick a file. So I'll go ahead and pick my sample file. If it's in a previous version of Revit, it will temporarily upgrade it in the background while it's loading these details. So here's our typical dialog. And a new feature, once again, is the ability to load sheets. So if I pick a sheet, we are able to see that all of the views that are on that sheet aren't pickable as well. This is by design because if you're loading the sheet, you don't need to load the views as well. In order to exit out of this at this time, if we hit Control A, we can now click on other views. In addition to just displaying the views and being allowed to pick them, you can use Control A, you can hold down Control, you can hold down Shift, and so on. Kind of like you'd expect in one of these kind of dialogues. You can also sort by clicking on the headers, so you can sort by the view types. You can also search the view name. So if I were to type in MDD, because I know that that partition type is MDD, I can load that. So there's a few different ways to go about loading these views. For this example, I'm going to pick the sheet and click on Load and Link Selected. Once you click Load and Link Selected, in Revit 2022 and Revit 2023 with sheets, we are creating that sheet, all of the viewports on the sheet, and bringing all the drafting views as well. So all of that's happening. The reason this is included in Revit 22 and 23 is because Autodesk introduced APIs that allowed us to manipulate view titles in a really stable way. So with that in mind, we've already linked those details. A new feature available is this addition of a pop-up at the top of your ribbon. If you're in a view that's being managed by Link Details, we're going to notify you of it. This was a feature request for a while from users because you might have a user come in and start moving things around, and when you go to update a detail, you'll notice that something changed that you changed, so this notifies you of that as well. Just like before, all of the typical parameters are loaded and they're user visible. That way you know exactly what the tool's doing. If you were to deselect is linked, this view is now independent of the resource file. And if I were to navigate back to that view, we will get a notification for a sheet as well. But if I were to navigate back to this view, we don't get that notification because it's no longer being managed by Link Details. So it's a really cool feature that we have access to now at this time. Just like before, you can update details through the update dialog. You can pick which ones you'd like to update and so on. It tells you the path that they come from and all those kind of things. At this time, the dialog for load and link works for files that are locally accessible on your computer. So that includes files that you can navigate to in File Explorer. This includes things like OneDrive, Dropbox, Google Drive, and Desktop Connector if you can access it this way. As long as you can access it in File Explorer or through the File Open dialog in Revit, you can link it. So those are the different ways that you can actually link those. If you are on an Autodesk Construction Cloud or 360 project that lives in the cloud, there are other ways of doing that, and I'll demo that in Revit 2021 here in a moment. So there's the new features. Revit 2023 is what's included now, and we'll go ahead and jump over to Revit 2021 for the next part of the demo. So as mentioned, the load and link of sheets in Revit 2021 is not included natively. So if we were to pick a Revit 2021 file, I'll pick partition types, we'll see that only drafting views are going to show up in this view. And that's because of a limitation in the Revit API that doesn't allow us to create those viewports consistently. You can manipulate viewports some ways. There's hacky workarounds, but it wasn't something that we were comfortable deploying on a full-scale tool. So you can load your drafting views, kind of typical how you would before. However, with link details loaded, if you were to go to Insert, Insert from File, Views from File, and you pick your resource file, so let's go ahead and do that now, and you pick a sheet in that resource file, we will link those for you now. So although our tool does not directly support sheets, if you were to load a sheet from the Insert Views from File command, so we're going to click OK, we will ask you if you'd like to link those to that resource file. So that's another thing that's added for Revit 2021, 2020, and 2019 now. So you will get a pop-up that says you just loaded a sheet. Do you want to link that to a resource file? If you click yes, you can now go ahead and pick where the file is for that. So you can either pick a linked file for BIM 360 files, or you can fix the path and connect that to the one on your disk. So a little bit of a workaround, but it works really well in the sense that we are able to utilize what's built into Revit to then connect these details. Now you'll see each one of these views has the parameters loaded. We have the is checked loaded and all that good stuff. If we were to navigate to a view that's being controlled by link details, we get that pop-up as well. So that's really nice. This works in a really great way in that manner. Once again, if you load your sheet from disk, you save it from the cloud to your disk to load the sheet with Insert Views from File, and you reference the resource file as a link, you will be able to use that. So just to kind of cover what I'm talking about here a bit more, if we go to Link Revit, I'm on a cloud project at this time, and we navigate to project files. These are all on BIM 360 in my case. I'm going to click on a sample resource file. We are now linking that resource file that just has drafting views into this project. So nothing changed in the project. It's just a resource we can use now. If I were to navigate to load and link details, and I select from link, I can now pick views from that resource file, drafting views in this case. This is really nice because we are able to use those BIM 360 files in this manner without connecting to something like Forge and so on. You just link it into your file, click which ones you want, and load them in, and they'll be linked. Once they're loaded in, you will notice that we have all the typical parameters loaded, and we now have a resource that's called loaded from link : file name. That's how those now get updated. So once we go to update, we will be able to see which path those are from. So we'll see loaded from link on the resource path. So there we have it, all the new features. This tool has been simplified some. It also adds a lot of additional features that all users are getting for this release. They vary between the versions a bit. So Revit 22 and Revit 23 are going to be the better interaction, but Revit 2019, 2020, and 2021 have access to the sheet feature as well, just in a different way. That was really important to us to be able to support all those versions for clients that are using this tool on projects all over the place. So I hope that helps out. Feel free to reach out if you want more information about the tool. And this update is now live on our website. And yeah, we thank you for checking out the tool, and have fun with all your details.